Hey guys, Putzleman 945 here. Welcome back to the video. And what is maybe going to be my last video before I go on vacation next week. I don't know if I'm going to record a video tomorrow. Remains to be seen. Um, but I have another top 10 today, and that is another video idea I got from my comments. Uh, this is my top 10 master student dynamics slash relationships. Um, yeah, let's just get into the list. At number 10 is Guts and Godo from Berserk. So, this isn't as the reason this is at number 10 is because it isn't as much of a mentor relationship as some of the others on this list. But I have it on this list because I do still think that like the lessons that Guts learns from Godo and the way that that in the future influences his character is excuse me, breakfast. Um, and the way that that influences character is excellent. And I mean, Dodo himself is just a great character in general. Um, like teaches multiple lessons to multiple different characters, including Rickard, and his own daughter Erica and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, great like mentor student relationship, but just not as high as some of the other ones. And number nine is Rayleigh and Luffy. So this one and all the rest of them, I think, much more qualify as proper master student relationships, which is exactly what this is because Rayleigh directly trains Luffy on hockey, and I love I love that the effect that that has on Luffy, like how he's able to become so much stronger because of Rayleigh choosing to train him. But the reason why this is not as high as some of the other ones is because it is purely kind of them training on a more physical level and just like learning things physically like hockey and Luffy getting stronger, whereas there isn't much more, I guess, deeper meaning to it than that. Um at number eight is Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker. Um Luke Skywalker has two on this list. Yoda and Luke, for a little bit of a spoiler, is higher up on this list. And that's because I do think that one has more significant wisdom that is taught to Luke, but that takes nothing away from the incredible lessons that he learns from Obi-Wan because he learns a lot of the basics, like how to actually sense and use the Force and how to basically operate his lightsaber. Um, very basically, but he does learn that, and um, he also teaches Luke the value of sacrifice by sacrificing himself in order to stop Vader and let them escape. Um, and and it's like these are lessons that fundamentally affect Luke because he is able to kind of learn for the first time what being a Jedi means. Um, so fantastic master student relationship there. And number seven is the Black One and Fushi from To Your Eternity. I think this is probably my most unique inclusion in the list because I don't know how many people have like thought about this as a master student relationship before, but I was thinking about what to include on this list and just like looking at some of my other lists to think about things for inspiration, see if like I had missed any other things that I thought would be good for this list. And I thought about this from To Your Eternity and I thought, oh, that actually is interesting because like even though Fushi as a character is one that is defined by the experiences he gets by meeting other people, the core of that is based in the sort of guidelines that the Black One gives him in each of the different eras of the world that he lives in order to um in order to be able to interact with people and make friends and gain new experiences, he kind of like needs the guidelines for that, and then that kind of disappears for him in season three. And this is why season three of A To Your Eternity is what I think is the best development for Fushi as a character, is because he has to learn how to live in a world without that kind of guidance, despite the fact that he tries to go to the Black One so many times in order to get it. To the point where, like, he even offers, like, the Black One even offers Fushi his power as a sort of completion of that journey, no matter what choice he would have made. Um, and I just think that like the way that the Black One with his guidelines for Fushi is able to influence things like that is just fascinating to me. Um, so a super unique master-student relationship that I'm quite a big fan of. And number six is Askeladd and Thorfinn, and this is also a more non-traditional master-student relationship in the sense that obviously Askeladd isn't intentionally being a mentor, but more so Thorfinn ends up picking up so many fundamental life behaviors and ideas that end up fundamentally influencing the way that he thinks just from traveling around with Askeladd for so many years. Um, and even after Askeladd dies and Thorfinn is unable to get his revenge, like in season two when Askeladd appears in his nightmares, um, that still is just a very powerful example of the way that Askeladd's like words and lessons that he taught still linger on even in a Thorfinn that is trying to change. And I think that it just makes for an extremely powerful, like, and very unique master-student relationship. The top five are all much, much more traditional, though. Um, at number five is Iroh and Zuko. Iroh is just the GOAT. He's easily the best character in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Um, in my opinion, but I think a lot of people will agree with me on that point. Um, and like he mentors like almost every member of the main cast in some way, ironically enough. But obviously, like the bulk of his mentoring relationship is with his nephew Zuko, so that's what I chose to include on this list because of the fact that they spend a majority of their time together. Um, And Zuko, as a result of traveling around with his uncle, um, is able to learn fundamental lessons about what it means to be a good person, and through Iroh is just able to be redeemed. Not only through Iroh, but like primarily so. Like I would say maybe it's like an 80% ratio of like the lessons that he learns and the good actions that he do to redeem himself are a result of Iroh. And I love this relationship so much. um in fact, I have a poster, let's see, right there. Yeah. You can't see it too well, but it's Iroh and Zuko sitting together, drinking tea. Um, so yeah. Number four, previously alluded to, is Yoda and Luke. And the reason why I have this particular master-student relationship of Luke's higher than Obi-Wan and Luke is because I just think that through Yoda, um, Luke is able to learn more of the fundamental concepts about being a Jedi. He learns much more about the nature of the Force and what a Jedi should use for the Force, the temptations of the dark side, um, and also receiving advice on visions. And the unique thing about this is like um Obi-Wan is still there and he still is able to offer partial lessons in a way, but it is with the combined strength of Yoda's teachings, which is why I just think that Yoda's master student relationship with Luke is just better. Um and number three is All Might and Deku from My Hero Academia. Um And I think this top three kind of signifies a deeper uh turn in the list where these top three, beginning with All Might and Deku, go deeper than just than the simple confines of a mentor-student relationship that we've been talking about, where this is one where and this is kind of the case with Zuko, but I would say not as much due to the fact that Zuko gained influence from multiple different things besides Iroh. But All Might and Deku, like their relationship is excellent as master and student because um, both of them wholly influence the other's personality in such a complete and satisfying way. Um, All Might is my favorite character in My Hero Academia, and it's not even close. And I think Deku is also a fantastic protagonist for MHA. Um, and that is because Deku learns so many important lessons about it's okay not have powers and you can still do a lot of good even without powers, but you can utilize the power that you do still have, including the power granted to him by All Might, to actually do good and cause some change in the world. Um, and then, Baku in a way also teaches All Might the importance of not trying to only be an icon um for people to admire after he's gone, and like Deku really instills the value of trying to survive and persevere in All Might in order to help him ensure that he can continue to provide as much possible um how do you say as much possible help and influence he as he can to people that will continue to be heroes well past his time. um and number two is Uguay and Shifu. Now, I could have included Shifu and Poe, or maybe Uguay and Poe as like separate inclusions in this list, but the reason why I decided to go with Uguay and Shifu specifically, um, within this list is because this is like almost like a secret triple dynamic where I could almost include Uguay and Shifu and Poe in this spot because the lessons that Oogway teaches to Shifu are so fundamental that they end up being the thing that is directly conveyed to Poe. Like, Shifu, along with some of his own other wisdoms, is primarily imparting everything that Oogway taught him on the Poe. So it's like a direct stream, which is why I decided to include only these two characters and not like the other two specific combinations that I mentioned, because I kind of feel um this is such a like Uguay is so goaded. Uguay was so wise and just had like so much incredible and important fundamental wisdom for both characters that he was able to pass it on essentially just directly down as if it was like a cane or something that uh as if it was just like chain links that just descended down directly from Uguay through Shifu to eventually Po, who was able to utilize those lessons, and Shifu, who was able to utilize what in addition to what he already was taught from Uguay, to be able to bolster that and teach even more things to Po on top of that. And I think that the nature of um like just believing in something and having trust that it will succeed, that idea that Uguay plants in Shifu is so fundamentally powerful that it just ends up affecting the entirety of um it just ends up affecting the entirety of what Poe is able to learn. And I think the fact that just Oogway as one character is able to do that by what he teaches Shifu, just this relationship master student dynamic is just fucking brilliant, and it makes for an easy number two spot. However, the number one spot, I kind of thought it would be the number one spot even before I decided to create this list, and that is Takuwan and Musashi from Vagabond. Um, because in my mind, there is no master-student relationship in which a character is more fundamentally changed than by Takuwan teaching Musashi. Because Musashi has several different mentor figures. Um, uh, oh my God. What's the name? What's the name of Spear School in Vagabond? What is the name of it? Uh, the Hojoin, yes, 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 yes. So Ine Hojoin, the kind of master of it, like he gets lessons from him. Musashi also learns a crucial lesson from the head of the Yagyu, which fundamentally changed the way that his swordsmanship goes. But all of that begins with um him uh just receiving like essentially a fundamental life slap to the face is the only way I can describe it by Takuwan when he is first like captured and is hanging from the tree in the early chapters of the series, um which like is the ultimate catalyst which starts him on this incredible transformational journey that he goes on. And it's not the only time either that Hakuwan has an incredibly fundamental effect on Musashi throughout the entire story. Like, the reason why this master student dynamic is truly the number one spot for me is because, like, if Oogway and Shifu, if Oogway's wisdom is like the fundamental thing that helps Poe on his journey throughout the story, um, then Kakuwan not only does it here in the beginning of the story in the scenario I just described, but he does it multiple times. And in my experience of things I've consumed, this master-student relationship is the number one spot on this list because it is the only one in which the mentor fundamentally affects and changes their student multiple times within the same story using completely different concepts and ideals, or maybe similar details, but a different concept, which is like maybe a deeper level than something that was previously taught to Musashi by Takuwan. And essentially this happens, I would say, like maybe 3 to 4 times. Um, because there's the first example I talked about. There's the second where Takuwan tells Musashi to not see a leaf for um oh my god, how does it go? Takuwan quote forest for the uh yes. So he says in the preoccupy with a single leaf, you won't see the tree. Preoccupy with a single tree, you'll miss the entire forest. And this is like the second time that he does it, which is arguably the most fundamental because this is the one that um uh Musashi takes the longest time to really like fully understand, and it's only when he incorporates this wisdom with the other ones that he learned from like Ine, and also the head of the Yagyu, that he is really able to understand what it means and take it to change. But then he does it like one more time, I would even argue, because um he like when him and Takuwan meet again after Musashi slays the 100 men in the Kyoto school. Um like after all of that, and he is just kind of like reflecting on that, then Takuwan appears at literally the perfect possible time for him and imparts this third fundamental piece of wisdom about like the nature of living under the heavens and how to find peace with the actions that you have done. And as I've already stated, I think that the reason why this is the number one master student dynamic of all time, in my opinion, is my favorite by far, is because of the way that One as a mentor is able to so fundamentally change Musashi's character a total of 3 different times using different ideas of wisdom that fundamentally change Musashi all in different ways and cause him to become an even better and wiser character. And that is why Hakuwan and Musashi is easily my favorite master student dynamic slash relationship of all time. But yeah, it's gonna do it for this list. This is a very, very fun list to make. If you have any other list ideas, let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Also, let me know what your favorite master-student relationships are, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye.